Hey everyone, my name is Sean Arnold and welcome to another episode of Yugioh Online Ranked Duels. This week I'm going to be going back to basics with an old favourite archetype of mine, and that is the Gravekeeper archetype. I've been finding myself a little bit stuck in the creative department recently, so I decided to go back to basics, relearn what I've done before, and then maybe later on in this week you're going to see me take this deck to a 2016 environment and just seeing how well it can compete in the modern format on Yu-Gi-Oh! Dev Pro. What I love about Gravekeepers is that they've always been kind of semi-relevant. They've always been around that tier 2 mark. Gravekeepers have a lot of fantastic tools which really just stop your opponents from doing certain gameplay mechanics, from using certain parts of the field. And no matter how the game evolves, how the game changes, you're always going to have a graveyard. You're always going to have, you're always going to be able to special summon. And therefore, a deck which is able to stop those types of moves or those type of gameplay elements, he can always find himself being relevant in some shape or form. So today I'm playing against a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck from Trackstar 663. This episode's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be whole games. I'm just going to be showing you highlights from different games which I had against people who maybe are not as experienced as I am with the game and really didn't put up too much of a fight. And I'm just going to show you some of the good plays that a Gravekeeper deck can make. This first one is a classic opening move. It is to use a Gravekeeper Spire to special summon a Gravekeeper monster with 1500 attack or less from the deck. And now with the modern era of having a rank 4 toolbox, you can go into a different variety of effects by special summoning a monster from your rank 4 box. Now at this point in time I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to be able to use the most to shut down my opponent? And what I'm thinking is, well, if he's playing a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck, he's probably going to want to try to special summon that through effects such as Maiden with Eyes of Blue, and therefore I really want to stop him special summoning it. I really think it's unlikely for anyone to tribute summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon because it's too much of a loss if you're being aware of card advantage and feel the fight in the process. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use this card, Master Key Beetle. Master Key Beetle is a fantastic rank 4 monster. It combos really well with cards that like to stay face up on the field, and it requires 2 level 4 dark monsters to use, perfect for a Gravekeeper there. So what I'm now going to do is activate Vanity's Emptiness, and now I'm going to use Master Key Beetle's effect to protect Vanity's Emptiness and target Vanity's Emptiness. And what will now happen is that as long as Master Key Beetle is on the field, Vanity's Emptiness cannot be destroyed. Even through its own self-destruction effect, it won't be able to be destroyed, meaning my opponent's going to have a little bit of a tough time trying to special summon anything. So now I'm going to attack his face down card with Master Key Beetle, try and get rid of his unknown options. And at this point in time, even though I've kind of shut down the main play or main use of Maiden with Eyes of Blue, she can still use her negation effect. She can still stop attacks, which will be a little bit annoying, which is why I didn't attack her. So later on in the game, I'm going to be trying to work around that. But we're going to make a quick cut and a transition to a later on turn of the game. This is going to be when I'm pretty much getting ready to take the game. Here, as you can see, I've set my field a little bit more, and now I'm going to dump Gravekeeper's Commandant from my hand to the graveyard to add Necro Valley from my deck to my hand. Once again, Master Key Beetle is going to be really good in this situation because Master Key Beetle can also protect your field spell cards, and being able to keep Necro Valley around is a really good way to stun your opponent, stop them from making any crazy plays by special summoning or banishing or moving any card in the graveyard from one place to another. So it's a really great thing to keep around, and giving it that extra bit of protection is always fun, especially when you've got a monster that's quite as strong as Master Key Beetle in an era where monster removal isn't really as popular as it used to be. You know, you don't really see people in this day and age running things like smashing around or any kind of spot removal. Most people just run things like Raigeki and that's it. They let all their monster effects do the removal for them. But yeah, at this point in time, I'm going to be able to destroy Maiden with Eyes of Blue quite easily now by attacking it twice. Still works out quite nicely being able to protect herself. I do have Skill Drain on the field. I could have used Skill Drain to kind of stop it, but it wasn't really necessary. I would rather keep Master Key Beetle's effect in place. And now here we go to the last turn of the game. My opponent is going to go over to, going to try and collect some more resources. As you can see, I've got his life points down quite a bit. And what you're going to see is what most people do. Well, no, actually, no, this is just going to be game hit. I'm going to go straight to the battle phase, and I'm just going to swing for defenses. He might have a Mirror Force, he might have something to destroy it, but fortunately on the field I have a card which you can't see right now. I have a card called Imperial Troops of Necker Valley, which would have stopped that anyway. Okay, so now we're into a different game against King World 1235. Again, this is going to be just showing off a different type of play for the deck, and a really good card for the day. And this time we're going to just show off Gravekeepers Recruiter. Gravekeepers Recruiter is a fantastic card. It is one of the best cards Gravekeepers have ever gotten. It is a card which is basically its own variant of Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest, but just for the Gravekeeper archetype. If you don't know what Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest do, go check them out. They are on the forbidden list. They are there for a reason, because they are able to search out a card when they are sent from the field to the graveyard with 1500 attack, 1500 or less attack or defense, depending on which card you're looking at. Gravekeepers Recruiter is of the latter. You can only search out Gravekeepers with 1500 or defense, and that pretty much means every single Gravekeeper, except for some of the bigger tribute ones and Gravekeeper Spy, which I don't really often see anyone really running the bigger Gravekeepers cards, only very rare occasions. And Gravekeeper Spy is always around, but you don't really need to use a Recruiter to search out Spy. You can search out many other things. And I just want to show off why it's so good to have a Recruiter around. Recruiter is really great to have around, because when you attack your opponent, because you know you're going to get a card if they destroy it, you shouldn't really be worried about attacking with him. It's just, it makes you a little bit fearless. And another thing which is great about Recruiter is that he can be used to kind of mitigate the cost of other cards. So in this situation, my opponent's reduced Recruiter's attack using a quick spell card to 100, and now he's going to run over it with Phantom Sky Blaster. But before he does that, I'm going to use Marsh Change 2. Marsh Change 2 is a card which requires you to discard one card from your hand, so it's 1/-1, use the card itself, that's another -1, and then also tribute a monster with a level on your field, and that's also -1. So Marsh Change 2 is a very expensive card, but things like Gravekeepers Recruiter can mitigate the cost, because when they are tributed for a cost like Gravekeepers Recruiter, or not Gravekeepers Recruiter, for Marsh Change 2, or for maybe say a tribute summon, they get you a card back in the long run. And I was able to grab another copy of Gravekeepers Commanded, which would allow me to go into a Necker Valley play. And now I've also got Master Law on the field, and with Master Dark Law on the field, my opponent really felt like he didn't really have a standard chance in this situation, and therefore he decided to surrender. That's often what you see with Gravekeepers sometimes. Gravekeepers, when they can lock down your opponent decides or to say this isn't worth going through the hassle, and they just decide to surrender. That's not the case though. In most Gravekeepers decks, or most people who are familiar with a Gravekeepers deck know that there are outs to it, there are ways of getting around it, and typically I would recommend most new players to just play it out and learn the matchup so you can know the weaknesses of the deck. Earlier in the week I made a comment about this being the current 2016 environment being a meta where by turn 2 people will set up situations where which are almost unwinnable, where you almost really don't have the outs to come back to them. Some decks are just that powerful, but not necessarily a Gravekeepers deck. A Gravekeepers deck can really stun you quite well, but there typically are good outs to a Gravekeepers deck. Okay, so we're in the third duel here. We are playing against CWX Galaxy 2. And he's playing a very strange deck. I'm going to call it a 60 good card deck. Just 60 good cards thrown together. No real cohesion between the two. But so I'm not going to show you the whole of this game because it's really not worth going into. But at the very least, I would like to show off a different card from Gravekeepers, and that's the Gravekeepers Heretic. Gravekeepers Heretic is a double-edged sword. It's a really nice card. It's very powerful for a level 4, being that it is a level 4 which says it is unaffected by any card effects. Any card effects whatsoever, as long as Necker Valley is on the field. That's your card effects, that's your opponent's card effects. He can't be hurt by card effects. The downside to Gravekeepers Heretic is that he does only have 1800 attack, which is respectable for doing, say, a swinging directly, and I don't have to worry about spells or traps because they won't affect him anyway. But it can be run over quite easily. I think it's quite balanced for having effects like that, because most of the time when you see a card which is unaffected by card effects, they usually are of a higher cost. They're not just simply a level 4 monster, which is quite amazing. Do be aware though, sometimes Gravekeepers Heretic can lead to some misplays here. You might see me doing one a little bit later on in the game here. But once again, it's just a situation of being able to play cards like Recruiter, cards like Heretic without really worrying about your opponent's back row. And it's really helpful for Gravekeepers deck because Gravekeepers don't necessarily generate a lot of advantage very quickly. They sometimes need to slow down the game and build up their resources before attacking and going kind of ham with their plays. You're going to see me make a mistake in this turn here, and what you're going to see me do is I'm going to get a little bit aggressive. I want to kind of make my opponent force my opponent to start using some of their cards, because I don't really like my opponent having an equal amount of resources as I do. Even if their resources may be trash, I would rather see them on with fewer resources than myself when I'm playing Gravekeepers. And so we're going to go into the battle phase, and I'm going to try and swing at that face down card first with Gravekeepers Commandant, who is now 2100 attack. That should be enough to kind of run over any high defense monsters, and that is Honest. Honest tried to protect my opponent, but it's not going to be enough. And now I'm going to swing with Heretic, which is going to be free money, free damage, because he's really not going to be able to be stopped there. And I'm going to make a mistake here. I'm going to go and try to do a little bit more damage for this turn, just because I really want to be as aggressive as possible before my opponent can set up their defenses again. So I'm going to play Mask Change 2. Again, like I said before, Mask Change 2 can be very costly, and I'm going to discard Gravekeeper's Commandant from my hand to activate it. But I kind of botched this. I make this mistake sometimes. I keep forgetting that for some reason, Gravekeeper's Commandant is the only Gravekeeper monster which is an Earth type. Why oh why is he an Earth type when the whole archetype is dark? It feels like a blatant mistake to me. I just don't understand why Commandant is a Earth type. But because of that, I couldn't use him to bring out Master Hero Dark Lord because he's the wrong element. Had to go to Gravekeeper's Heretic, and of course, Gravekeeper's Heretic cannot be affected by all card effects, and therefore I've completely wasted my Mask Change 2. Bit of a botch there, bit of a mistake, but just learn from my mistakes. Learn not to make those wrong plays as I do if you're going to try Gravekeeper's deck yourself, and just be aware that yeah, Heretic is very much a double-edged sword sometimes, because you can't really buff him up, you can't really use anything on him because he just doesn't like it, he just doesn't want none of it. Yeah, Gravekeepers, whole lot of fun, just very very fun deck to use. The next couple of duels you're going to see, or videos later on in the week, are going to be full games of me going up against a couple of subscribers. And yeah, I really love this archetype, and I really just can't wait to see what it can do in DevPro on the 2016 environment. But yeah, no, this is going to be the end of the duel here, guys. As you can see, my opponent has foolishly activated Soul Charge. Not sure if that's just them giving up in a flashy way, or they were not aware of Rekka Valley on the field. I don't know, it's hard to say really. But yeah, they're going to basically commit suicide at this point with Soul Charge. Try bringing back tons of monsters, and now they're going to surrender because it got negated. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.